Hey guys, welcome to another episode of InRange TV. I've got a really interesting thing for you today. This is Cody Slocum, and that's important because we're going to be talking to you about the Slocum side-loading revolver. Now this is your family's heritage.
Yes.
And this was designed to get around the Rollin White patent.
Correct.
Rollin White patent was to essentially bore through the cylinder. You saw it in like the Colt Single Action Army, etc. But when that patent was still in place, people had to come up with really clever ways to manufacture guns.
Yep, because they had monopoly on all of it.
Right, and we see that today with guns as well.
Yep.
But we see, like, for example, the Merwin and Holbert was an example of that, right?
Correct.
So in this regard, this is one of very few of these, correct?
Yes, less than a couple thousand made.
That's nuts. I've never even heard of it versus seen it. And this is an honor to see it today. Thank you.
I'm glad I was able to give you that chance.
And it's from your family here, so that's even more cool. So this is chambered in .32 rimfire. And why don't you want to demonstrate to the audience?
Yeah,
how this
I'll
works?
be glad to.
All right.
So yeah, what makes this unique, the Slocum side loading, where that comes from, is because it literally loads and unloads from the side of the chamber. The chamber comes forward and then goes back again, loading it and unloading it from the side.
Here's how we unload. Half cock. Make sure this is unlocked. Turn the cylinder to the unloading rod. Eject the spent cartridge. Insert a loaded one. Close it. Unlock. Turn. Unload. Load. Close it. Unload. Load. Close it, etc. Lock it, and you're ready to go.
And then, of course, if you think about it, if you would take the time to practice like back then, you would get pretty quick at that.
Yeah. So has this been in your family for a long time, or how did you acquire this particular piece?
This particular one actually was not in my family. I spent a couple years tracking it down and found a gentleman in California that had it and explained the story about how my ancestor invented it. And
that's wild.
All that other stuff. And this is actually the third one I found and passed on the other ones because I was wanting one that had a little bit of the extra work. Like this one has the factory engraving still on the brass frame.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Has very light, faint of the remnants of the factory silver plating on the barrel and the front sight, and of course the over 100-year-old factory ivory grips.
Yeah, we can't even do ivory anymore.
Yeah.
Another thing that you mentioned about this was manufactured where?
This was manufactured in Brooklyn, New York.
As in right outside of New York City. The place where you can't practically own a gun today.
Own nothing. Exactly.
They were making them there.
Making them there. Not just selling them, but literally making them.
This is so cool. Thank you for bringing it out to let us see this. I've never even seen one of these, and it really is amazing. We're here at the gun makers match, and the type of innovation that's going on now, not only to get around patents, but to manufacture things in a way that we can do. You saw that back in the 1800s when they were trying to get around patents or other things, and this is an excellent example. This is
and back then, literally everything was handmade. There was no CNC, even the machine. You had to cast your own stuff and all that other stuff. So everything's kind of slowly coming back full circle now, just modernized.
It's really amazing. A lot of the stuff that they manufactured then, we touched on this. We actually don't or cannot manufacture them cost effectively now.
Yes.
Because what they did back then, you had cheap labor.
Yes.
But not cheap manufacturing. Now we have cheap manufacturing and expensive labor. And so it's flipped around, right? Which is really kind of amazing.
And then it's funny that people always talk about they don't make things like they used to because literally everything was handmade back then.
There was that attention to detail, and the gun had to work. And it left the factory after someone touched it and looked at it.
Yeah, and another point to that fact as you can feel how tight the lockup is on that for being over 130 years old.
It is, yeah. An amazing piece of history. Thank you for bringing it out here to show not only to me, but to the audience.
I was very happy to be able to do it.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you all enjoyed.
Hope you enjoyed.